Hello, good people of YouTube. Mountainbatten here, and today we're going to be discussing the topic of paper ships. So, I said this a little while ago in a video that wargaming needs to start prioritizing more historical ships over paper ships, and I just wanted to elaborate on that a little bit because it is a pretty interesting topic to talk about because throughout history, especially the era of heavily armored ship combat, so, World War One through World War Two and a little bit into the 50s, there were many designs that were simply never made. And this is normally, when you hear someone refer to a paper ship, this is normally what they are referring to. And what happens most of the time with these paper ships is that they were never really built. They were just drawn up. Things like the Grosser Kurfürst was a paper ship. I think it's either H-43 or H-44 with smaller guns. It's one of those. And Wargaming takes that design, makes a couple of changes to it, like with the smaller guns on the Kurfürst, because I think H-44 called for like 12 20-inch guns or something, so something mind-boggling like that, and make it fit into the game. And ships like Stalingrad, that was a paper ship. Montana was paper slash they started to lay down the kills on it, but then they abandoned the Montana class in favor of just creating more aircraft carriers because that's the way the war in the Pacific was going. And Ismo was a paper ship. It's actually a later design for the Yami, but again with smaller guns rather than the I think that was another 20-inch gun design. And these ships, they were either drawn up, never really laid down, and they never existed. Now, Wargaming has been pumping out quite a few paper ships as of recently. The Georgia, the Ohio, the Smolensk, so forth and so on. And a lot of people have been saying that they need to stop making so many paper ships and start introducing more and more historical ships into the game, which I would agree with. And if you look at some of the ships coming out soon, they are doing that. The California, just off the top of my head, that one's coming out. The Alaska, that was a real life ship. That one came out not that long ago. So they do seem to be producing a fair amount of, actual historical ships. But the problem with historical ships is that they were made so they can't really go really one way or the other in terms of kind of really crazy or maybe toning it back a bit, because the Yami has 18-inch guns. It was a real ship, the largest battleship ever made. She has 18-inch guns, so of course they have to balance that around, balance the ship around that. And it's really weird sometimes the lengths they will go to keep some ships historically accurate. Like, not all that long ago, they decreased Yami's speed by 1 knot, because it was found that the actual historical speed of the ship was, I think, like 27.5 knots or something like that instead of 28 knots. So they decreased their speed by 1 point because of that. Not 1 point, by 1 knot because of that. Is that really going to affect the overall gameplay of the Yamato? No, it's not, but they'll do that. But on the other side, they will lower American citadels on the American battleships in order to balance gameplay. It's really weird. Some of the things that they won't break, especially speed. Speed seems to be like the hard line for wargaming, because the California, for example, a ship that could be a great tier 8 premium if they just bumped up the speed from the lethargic 20 knot American top speed to 25 or 26 knots. And it could easily fit at tier 8, and they could balance the ship around that. It would be a great tier 8 ship, but of course, because the historical top speed of the ship was 20 knots, they're going to stick with 20 knots, just like with the Colorado, which a ship that I think desperately needs to go at least 23 or 24 knots. They're going to let it stick there at 20 knots. Anyway, that's a little side rant about the historical speed accuracy hard lock that Wargaming seems to be on. But anyway, paper ships, they can be some really bonker designs, like the friggin' Smolensk. I mean, look at that thing, 16 guns within these quad turrets. It's like they saw the German Wolverine and were just like, that, but bigger. Like, really? And again, that's how you get ships like Smolensk. But on the other hand, you get ships like Ohio, which, I mean, Ohio is probably one of my favorite ships in the game. It's definitely up there in my, like, top 3 favorite ships, and it's a paper ship. Well, of course, occur first. You can go there like that. That's my favorite tech line ship in the game, and that's a paper ship. And there's really nothing wrong, in my opinion, with paper ships, as long as they're balanced well. I'm looking at you, Smolensk, and they, fit well in the line that is already in existence. So, and the FDG is paper ship too. The of course, occur first. It feels like a natural continuation of the line from where the historical line leaves off at the Bismarck. So you have the Bismarck, FDG fits in perfectly, and then the gross occur first right after it. Seems to work quite well. It's when you get these really strange paper ships, like the Smolensk, that just doesn't, like, what is this? It's more like an American cruiser than a Soviet cruiser. It's like the unholy child of a Moskva and a Worcester put together. Well, actually, no, it's really not, because it really doesn't share any particular traits with the Soviet line besides the ballistics for the shells. But the rest of it, it's really more of an American type ship. And again, if the ship is well done and well balanced, there's nothing really wrong with that. It's just, sometimes you get these really weird ships. And again, that's not a bad thing, because you do have to consider that this game is based around naval ships. And unlike World of Tanks, where I'm not saying it's easy to make a tank, but I'm saying it's less challenging for a country to design and produce tanks than it is warships. I mean, you need a lot of resources to build a ship, even something just like a destroyer. So, not a whole lot of ships were designed and made in comparison when you're comparing the two games. So naturally, as the game gets older and older, we are going to be seeing more and more and more paper ships. Now, I don't think that wargames should prioritize paper ships over historical ships, because historical ships, in my opinion, they are sometimes the more interesting ships to get a hold of in play. Ships like the Arizona, the Verbis Unitas, the Iowa, the Missouri, Massachusetts, Alabama, those are all very good ships. Well, the Unitas has its problems, but in and of by itself, it's not that bad of a ship. And it's cool to see this history and interact with it like the Arizona. And for someone who has a love of history like myself, it's one of the points that keeps me playing the game, is playing these ships that you read about and you see in movies and stuff, and you can control them in game and pit them against other ships. The endless debate about the Iowa class versus the Yamato class. You can actually put that to the test in this game and see that battle come out in real life. They never got to battle in real life. You see that battle come out on the screen in front of you, where in real life they never got to fight each other, which, God knows what would happen. In that battle, Iowa would have won. But now that the comment section is destroyed. But you get to see all that happen in a video game, which is beyond cool. Which is another reason why I love this game, because this is such a niche audience. There's not a lot of World War II naval fans out there in comparison to other games like Call of Duty and such. But anyway, again, getting off track. But paper ships, they're not a bad thing. I just don't think they need to be prioritized over historical ships. And again, they have to fit within the game and be good for the game, unlike the Smolensk, which I think most of us would agree is, even if you say that the ship isn't OP, it's not healthy for the game right now. But again, that's a whole nother different video. But that's one thing about paper ships. They can be fun. And again, some of my favorite ships in the game are paper ships. But again, a lot of my favorite ships in the game are historical ships. But, it's just a necessary part of this game. If we want this game to continue to develop, they are going to eventually run out of ships to add into the game. You can see that already with more than a few lines that have been introduced recently are mostly paper, like the Russian battleship line, which I do enjoy the Russian battleship line, but I'm pretty sure from tier 4 on up, it's all paper. And again, nothing really wrong with that. If we want the game to continue to grow, it's just going to happen. But anyway, that's my 2 cents on paper ships and the whole talk that's been about them, because there are some people that are really passionate about this, And again, it's just a recent hot topic in the months of just this onslaught of premium ships, which they have really been pumping up the premium ships recently. We seem to be in a bit of a lull of that right now. I do know the Puerto Rico is going to be coming up for Christmas, well, New Year's. But, I mean, as far as other premium ships, I have no clue when they're going to release the next batch, but it's been a while. My wallet needs time to recover after all those ships that came out in the past couple of months. But anyway, guys, that's what I think about this subject. Hope you all having a wonderful Tuesday. Let me know in the comments down below. What do you think about paper ships? At what point are there too many paper ships in the game? And, you know, let's have a healthy conversation down below. So, guys, hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, drop a like, leave a comment, and subscribe. We are on our way to 6,000 subscribers, and we are under 300 away from that goal, which is bonkers. We just passed 5,000 not that long ago, and we're about to cross 6,000 probably, I would say, by early December, mid-December, if not before then. But again, thank you guys so much for that. The support for the channel has been awesome, and I hope to see all of you guys in the next one.